This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 40 of the Wisdom by Wessa show on the Horse Radio Network. This is Mike Donnell.
I'm Casey Wilbanks-Coletti.
And this is Sophia Aguilar. Welcome to Wisdom by Wessa on the Horse Radio Network.
This podcast is brought to you by the Western and English Sales Association, WESA, which provides the world's largest trade events for retailers, manufacturers, and sales representatives of the equestrian industry. In this podcast, we feature exclusive interviews with noteworthy Western and English personalities, retailers, and exhibitors who you've always wanted to talk to. Don't miss out on all the news for manufacturers and retailers in the equine industry. Today, we are introducing a WESA member that already has a presence at the DMC. Sophia is here to tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, so after we announced that WESA is moving to the DMC, more and more brands have been opening up their showroom in Dallas and actually making plans to close their showrooms in Denver. So we decided to send out a press release about their plans to open their showroom and a quote about someone that works at the company, maybe a WESA member, and also a history of the brand, just to let retailers know that they can expect these brands at the next 2021 WESA trade show in January. But then there's also a lot of WESA members who have already been at the DMC for a long time. So we also wanted to give them the opportunity to sort of tell their story and share how they got to the DMC, how it's been. So that's what we're doing now with this little tour of the DMC here on Wisdom by Wessa.
So where can everybody find all of the press releases?
So we sent them to a lot of Western English magazines. So they're either published in there or also shared on the e-newsletters and so on. But we also share the good news on our Facebook page, which is at Wessa Trade Show.
Great. Thanks, Sophia. And I'm excited about today's interview, a lover of all things turquoise myself. So Mike, we'll just have him introduce our guest and get right to the interview.
Following a lengthy career as an international fashion model, Paige Wallace discovered another love, designing turquoise jewelry. And today, 20-some years later, her jewelry items, all personally designed by her, are carried throughout the country. She has a very broad marketing matrix, which includes attending trunk shows, utilizing social media to help her customers market her jewelry and her presence at a showroom in Dallas at the Dallas Market Center. Paige Wallace, thank you for joining us on Wisdom by Wessa.
Thank you for having me.
For our listeners' benefit, Paige and I had a great conversation a couple of days ago, and she was giving me her history. The history of the business is really quite fascinating. 20 years you've been at this. The business has changed. The technology to market has changed. But let's chat just a bit. Give me an overview of your business. We're going to talk a bit about how marketing has changed with technology between the time you started this after your fashion career and today. And Casey, of course, is going to talk a lot about your design and your jewelry. She wears more jewelry than I do.
Well, that's a good sign.
So you started 20 years ago after a fashion career. Why don't you pick it up from there?
Okay. Well, a friend of mine and I, about almost 26 years ago, started making jewelry together, and we were doing art shows, the really nice juried art shows, and setting up and selling our wares to the public. And we had neither one ever done it before, so we were just trial and error. And then about a year into that, I said, I've been in wholesale my whole life. I would like to try doing a line, and let's take it to Dallas Market. Let's start at Dallas Market, and let's see if we can sell wholesale to stores. So we did that, and we were the same company but a separate entity. So she had her line, and I had my line, and we both had different territories. And then after about a year and a half of that, she wanted to go into the retail business in Denton. So we split, and I stayed wholesale, and that's how it all started. I took over the entire business wholesale-wise, and I started doing all the designing, and I took it mostly. I was in Dallas and Denver. That's where I've always kind of had I call it contemporary Southwest look. It's not Indian, it's not native, but it's for that lady who likes that Southwest and Western lifestyle. So we started in Dallas and moved to Denver. So that's where our main focus is. We've been in Chicago, we've been in LA, we did Vegas for over 10 years, we did Atlanta, but now we want to not downsize, but we really want to more concentrate our business in those two markets.
Okay, and you sell to retailers, but let's chat a moment. 20-some years ago, as you started the business, and there wasn't internet, there wasn't social media, how did you market then? And then let's talk about how you support your retailers today, because you got a very aggressive marketing matrix, but 20-some years ago, you didn't have that many things to work with.
Oh, no. We relied on taking pictures, making them into postcards the old-fashioned way with sticky bags and mailing postcards to anybody and every retailer we could get our hands on their list, and really relied on reps, getting the word out. Like, I didn't have my own showroom until 2008 in Denver. I always had a rep. And then in Dallas, I was always in a rep's room till about 2001. So we really relied on those reps to get the name out, to get the word out, to get the customer into the showroom. And it was tough.
Well, and what I also see has changed is that you're now able to offer retailers a much stronger package of market support than you could before. Run down a little bit about how you leverage social media for on a retailer's behalf.
So what we did about almost 2 years ago is I started up with Instagram. I've never been a big Facebook person, but Instagram was really appealing to me because it's so easy. And I got on Instagram, and what I do is for my customers, when we are just about to send an order, which I'm doing today as well, I have a cowhide in our office, and I use very simple way of laying out most of their order onto this cowhide, and I take a picture and I send it out on my Instagram and say, coming soon to such and such store in Colorado, go check out their new merchandise. And I tag them, and so everybody following me can see that post. Then the retailer can then see that post and repost it to their customers and their followers. And I'm just trying to get my name in front of as many of their customers to have the name recognition and to get customers into their stores. And I think it's really helpful because, somebody in Oregon may see this post and she may be following me, and she may call up this store in Estes Park and say, hey, I really love that necklace I see. Can you send it to me? And that has happened. My retailers have told me it's happened many times. So that's working really well. Also, it works that if somebody is a personal follower of me and they see something that I posted, they can actually message me and I can get them to a store near them. If she is in Oregon, I can get her to somebody who I'm selling to in that area, like Pendleton or somebody like that. So it's been beneficial to me and the retailer, and I've even actually picked up 3 or 4 retail accounts from doing it that way. They've actually come into the showroom and bought the line. So it's my Instagram is all like people. They either are in the Western industry, they're lovers of all things Western or Southwestern, even as far as interiors and everything like that. So it's not like these random Instagram people that it's celebrities or sports people or something. We're all in this field of the Western lifestyle together. So it makes it really interesting, and it's very positive. I find very positive feedback from everything on this type of Instagram.
Do you have, through your Instagram and whatever, do you have international markets and international distribution?
I sell internationally, but I don't have, that has nothing to do with my Instagram personally. And not to say that other people couldn't, but mostly it's within the United States.
Okay. And talk a bit now, and here's where Casey can chime in. Where does the inspiration come for what you're actually designing? If you didn't design things people want, you wouldn't have had a business for 20 years. So somehow or other, you have managed to instinctively come up with designs that match that market you just described.
Right. And I always say that the stones talk to me. When I started making jewelry with my friend over 20 years ago, it just hit me. It was something I loved. It was something I took to easily. I started just coming up with designs out of my head, and it's all really about the stones. And the stones are fascinating. They're natural. They come from the earth. It's very inspiring to work with stones because they are so beautiful and so diverse in color and matrix and different shapes. And really, it's I don't know how other designers do it, but really I just sit down with several strands or come up with something in my head and start pulling strands from different places in the studio and just come up with interesting designs that thankfully people do like over the years. And I have been able to keep a really good following. I mean, some of my customers have been with me since I started the business. So that's really fun that they have stuck by me and believe in me all these years, and I've seen them change and they have seen me change too, and we still stick together and it still works for them. I call my customers partners because that's what I feel like. I feel like we're partners in business together. I'm helping them and they're helping me, and it won't work if you can't work together.
Paige, you'll know this just as good as anybody, but within fashion, trends are ever changing. But there's something about turquoise that it never goes out of style. Right. I have pieces that were my grandmother's that I'm not really sure even when she purchased them, but we're talking about pieces that she wore then and I wear now and my daughter wears and will forever continue. And so that's something I find really unique about you with your turquoise designs is, and maybe you can emphasize a little more why you think that is, but turquoise is always a staple in our fashion within the Western industry.
It is, and that's how I started the company, with turquoise specifically. I mean, yes, I've always mixed stones. Turquoise goes great with coral, it goes great with pearls, it goes great with just about any other stone. And I have always wanted my line to be more timeless and classic so that you could pass it down to your daughter or your granddaughter. And I don't really like to follow trends, even though I will throw in 4 or 5 pieces that I see really trending, like that whole tassel thing that has been happening for the last year. It's a trend. So it's not my main focus by any means, but it's like my turquoise rings. It's like my turquoise necklaces. I try to really keep it classic and more for every lady. I just think my lady is more of a classic wearer of jewelry. She's not wearing it because so-and-so down the street has it on. She's wearing it because it really speaks to her and maybe has been around it her whole life, or like you say, she came into it through a relative. But my lady wears it time and again. It's so awesome when I'm at a market that my customers come in the showroom with my pieces on. And to me, that is so flattering because, the marketplace is huge. They could be wearing anybody else's jewelry, but they will come in 2 or 3 days with my different jewelry pieces on. And I think that says a lot for what my lady wants to wear and for our quality. We are very, very strong on quality of our pieces too. I stand behind everything. And then I also make one-of-a-kinds, which I was telling Mike about, that I may have really unusual pendants or really unusual stones. And those I call one-of-a-kind because that's it. That pendant is used once, and it may be 6 strands. It may be really long. It may be a choker, but a lot of our customers have really got to love to have 2 or 3 one-of-a-kind pieces in their cases just for that lady who wants something that she's not going to see again.
Oh yes, that would definitely be me. Those pieces are just so special and unique. And Mike did touch on this a little bit too, talking about your Instagram and the things that you do for your retailers. But as we speak about that, it's Paige Wallace Designs on Instagram for anybody that wants to check it out. I'm looking at your pictures, and you kind of made mention how you set the pictures up and really painted a beautiful picture for us, and you depicted it perfectly. Something that I see as, say, I would be a consumer buying these pieces from your retailer. What I see when I see your pictures is I'm picturing the outfits I would wear with that necklace. I need that necklace because I'm gonna wear it with this outfit. And so there's a really broad range of your consumers and your retailers being able to utilize these great pictures that you put together for a lot of different purposes, I believe, for selling your jewelry and for people buying your jewelry. I think there's a lot of different avenues that these great pictures can help out.
Thanks. I don't show the entire order because I want somebody to go and find this store and see what else is out there for them. Like, I usually don't post all the earrings that I'm sending, but it at least gives them a sense of what this store is going to have. Or even if you're a new retailer and you haven't been carrying my line before, it's another way for them to go and see what kind of jewelry that I do make and the versatility of it. I don't know if you see or looking at that. There's a recent post that I was telling Mike about in Pueblo, my store in Pueblo, and she wanted to get a bunch of pearls and a lot of pearl looks, daintier looks, and there is a really beautiful long necklace in there for Easter, coming up for Easter and that kind of thing. So I do have a lot of versatility in what I mix the turquoise with. Mm-hmm. Light pearls, light jasper.
Yes.
And a pearl can not only be white. We use a lot of brown pearls because it looks so pretty with the green turquoise.
Yes. Well, and I've scrolled down quite a ways now, and I see a little girl in her first birthday outfit, and she's got one of your turquoise buckles on.
I know, wasn't that a fabulous buckle?
Yes, so beautiful. Yes, I want it for myself, just like the 1-year-old. Yeah. Well, obviously, you could tell I'm also a lover of turquoise. But before we let you go, and Mike might have a few more questions too, but just touch a little bit on your passion within this industry, within the Western way of life. And I know that you live in Texas, and that has to be somewhat of an inspiration too, but just a little bit about your passion within this industry.
Well, my mom, I was raised in Texas, and my mom would take us to Red River in the summers. We would go to Santa Fe in the summers, and my mom was a huge lover of the Western, Southwestern lifestyle. And so I feel like a lot of it comes from her and the way she brought me up and the way she taught me. She actually owned art galleries my whole life growing up in Granbury, Texas, and on the Big Island of Hawaii for 15 years. And it was all cowboy and Western and Southwestern inspired galleries. So I get a lot of the love of that from her as well. And I've always taken to the Southwest lifestyle. I mean, I'm by no means a cowgirl. We do own a ranch and run cattle, but it's on a very small scale. And it's just something that I've always been around. I've always loved. My granddaddy had a ranch and farm when I was growing up, and I was always there. It's just when the turquoise came into my life at an early age, when my mom bought my first little cuff in Santa Fe, it was just something that I knew would be in my life for always. And being a native Texan, yes, you're around it. You're around that type of people, which I love. The whole Western industry, I think, is so down to earth, and everybody knows everybody in a way. And it's a tight group, and unlike, and nothing against contemporary people, but, the Dallas World Trade Center, that contemporary floor, it's so different from our Western Southwest lifestyle world where, reps all know each other, customers know each other, customers, network together and talk about different lines. And that's what I love about all of it. And to me, it's a natural lifestyle, which is what I personally prefer.
Well, listen, you've given us an interesting story, and I think it's great if I'm a retailer that I know that the person who is my vendor is as committed to the lifestyle from their side as I am from mine. Pardon me. And we appreciate you sharing your story with us, your enthusiasm with us. And I think has been a great opportunity to bring to our listeners another piece of the Western world.
Well, thank you all very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, and maybe somebody will get to know a little bit more about Paige Wallace and the background of our company, our little company.
Well, I'm sure they will.
All right. Well, thank you all very much.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Paige.
Show notes and links from today's show can be found at wisdombywesa.com. We'd love to hear your feedback, and there's a contact link on that site.
The Wisdom by WESA show will be published on the 15th and 30th of every month. You can listen on most of your favorite podcast players, and you can also listen on the Horse Radio Network app on your iOS or Android phone. You just search Horse Radio Network in the App Store. It's free and it's super easy to use. Be sure to visit all the great shows on the Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com. Thanks for listening to the Wisdom by WESA podcast. WESA, where the industry meets.